So I'm looking at insurance registrations for the previous week, first week of January, and Li Auto 7,600, Xpeng 7,400, Xiaomi 3,400, Zeekr 2,800, Onvo 1,800. Where is NIO? Wait a second. Where is NIO? NIO didn't even make the damn list. What the hell? All right, what the hell? NIO didn't even make the damn list. Now, I'll be honest, guys. I did anticipate Onvo's deliveries to surpass NIO's, but I was not anticipating it to happen this quickly. All right, and obviously not to this extent. Okay, 10 days ago when I published my video about my NIO stock outlook for 2025 and sales increase, I talked about how in the first half of this year I am personally expecting NIO's deliveries to fall, Onvo's deliveries to fly, Firefly's deliveries to fly, and that in the later half of this year, I expected NIO's deliveries to come back and really be really high. Take a look. And I believe, and this is nothing against NIO, this is not me hating NIO or anything like that. I believe, like, in the first half of this year, of 2025, we might actually see a sales decline for NIO. But to be honest, I was more expecting, like, maybe, NIO does at least like 3,000, and then maybe Onvo does like 3,000 plus per week. Like, that would be ideal, right? But of course, that's kind of too optimistic. I was too optimistic. And clearly, well, if you guys didn't know, NIO only had 1,500 weekly insurance registrations, Onvo 1,800, so beating out NIO. But both these numbers don't really look that great, and definitely not making the list. And dropping out of this list is the first time it has ever happened for NIO, okay? Since Li Auto published this list, NIO was always on the list, and then this is the first time it has ever happened not on the list. So pretty like low numbers, okay? Not so good, all right? Terrible. You could say it's terrible. Why is this happening, okay? And what's going on? Well, I hate to say it, but NIO's deliveries are very incentive driven, okay? So in December, we saw really good delivery numbers thanks to incentives. Fast pay 3 month, get 1 month free, which is much better than before pay 4 month, get 1 month free. And then they had a bunch of other incentives to really support and boost sales. And during that period of time, you also had like inventory cars in hot demand. Okay, people really wanted a NIO that was like affordable. If they can get like a couple 20,000, 30,000 off with an inventory car, then they would actually go for that. And what you would see was that the sales reps, they would be on their phone searching for inventory car, and as soon as the factory releases an inventory car or the system releases an inventory car, they would try to snatch it up for their customer as soon as they can, because that's exactly what the customers want. A lot of customers, they tell their sales reps, if you can get me a cheap car, I will buy that car. So you see this kind of situation where all the sales reps are around the table, and when it's time the system gets refreshed, everybody's like spamming the refresh button on their phone, on their NIO back system app, and then trying to get that inventory car. And some of them, they succeed and get that inventory car for their customer. But this was in December when they had very strong policy. But the root of the problem, the root of the issue, is the fact that the cars, all right, they've been around for a while. Okay, the MT 2.0 cars, I wouldn't say they're old, but definitely like they've been around for a while. Okay, NIO Day 2020, that's when they announced the first ET7, right? And then they started selling them in 2022. And eventually, it's been like almost 2-3 years since they've been selling NT 2.0 cars. Obviously, my car is much older than that, but 2-3 years, that's a fairly long period of time when it comes to the automotive world as well. A lot of newer cars come out with newer features and stuff like that, including like the Envo, which is perfect, like very perfect in my opinion in terms of all the features and offers, tech features that it has. But it is safe to say that on the surface, if you just compare NIO's current cars, it's not like the latest of the latest, and that would be a fair assessment. So really the demand has to be spurred up with incentives and cheaper price. So if you had those incentives in December, but then you take it away in January, of course, sales are going to decline, right? Sales will decline. And there's no better way to go about this, right? There's no better way to reinvigorate sales unless you have better incentive policy. And part of it could also be management. The head of NIO's sales, the guy responsible, which I personally know him because he used to be the general manager of NIO in Beijing, and then he was head of sales. He got transferred to become the head of sales of Firefly. So does that have an impact? I don't know, maybe, right? He's a very intelligent guy. He's a very smart guy, and I totally trust him on the job with that. But then if he's transferred to Firefly, head of sales of Firefly, I'm sure Firefly is going to do very well going forward. But what about the NIO brand? Who's in charge of the head of sales right now at NIO, like NIO brand? So partially could be that, right? Maybe they don't know the correct balance between the incentives and how much incentive to give out to really sustain good numbers. So I'm not saying the head of NIO sales right now is not competent enough, but there is that management change and it could be a factor. Okay, I'm just saying that. But going forward, you're going to see this situation continue to exist until the middle of the year, until they come out with NT 2.5 or the refreshed version of the current existing cars. A lot of people are waiting for those cars. Until that happens, sales are continue to kind of just, not do too well unless they come out with crazy incentives. And by that time, middle of the year, then with the refreshed NT 2.0 cars, 2.5 and 3.0 cars, then you'll really see sales start to grow once again. So until that happens, and by the way, let me make it very clear that I'm still very confident in Envo sales continuing to increase. Firefly, once that starts deliveries, sales will really increase as well. And I maintain that stance that in the first half of this year, we might see NIO brand deliveries go down. And it seems to be happening earlier than I expected, but still nonetheless, exactly in line with what I expected, okay? So just make sure that you understand this, okay? Make sure you understand this fact. And Envo is really going to carry us, Firefly really going to carry us for the first half of this year until the product refresh for NIO, okay? So that's the very important takeaway message. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.